Success comes from a multitude of things, and success in business is very similar to success in relationships. Everything begins and ends with you, and that's why it's so fucking heavy. Any moment you can make a decision, it's a click of a finger to go, you know what? I'm gonna fucking change this. A CEO's 6 tips to running a 7-figure business without sacrificing your family while also having balance. Sounds like the pipe dream, right? To be able to make money and provide while also having some degree of a personal life. This is the type of man who has it all. A thriving business, lots of money, but also free time to enjoy life again. Control over his thoughts, control over his feelings, and a great relationship with his wife and kids. That is the have-it-all lifestyle, and so many men struggle with that. So in today's podcast episode, we're gonna break down 6 crucial tips to run a 7-figure business without losing your family while also having balance. If that's something you're interested in, make sure you take a bunch of notes because there is some gold in here, and this is stuff that our clients invest thousands for. I want you to have it for free. It will change your life if you listen. So without further ado, enjoy this episode of the Empowered Man podcast. Over the last few years, we've coached hundreds of men. I think at the time of recording this, about 800. And some of these guys are extremely successful. We have one guy, Michael, who makes over $100 million a year in his businesses. We have another guy who does 40 million, another guy who's about to hit 50 on his way to 100. And then we have guys making $200,000, $300,000 a year as employees or in their businesses. Now, these numbers are just arbitrary. What these numbers represent is a level of success in business or even in a career. But for so many of the guys that we've worked with, this level of success comes with baggage. And if you're a successful guy who works hard and makes money and provides for his family, you'll know all about that baggage. It's the idea that because you're so busy and because you're so stressed and because you have so much going on in work or business, there's this huge weight on your shoulders. And that weight comes with pressure and stress. And that pressure and stress comes home to the family, or it comes into our team environment at work, where we don't feel appreciated or respected by team members. We feel like people are not doing their job properly. And especially business owners, we've got to get back in the weeds and start doing the things we're hiring people for and paying the money for. So then for a lot of us, and this happened to me for years, come home, and even though work was super stressful and challenging, all you want at home is safety and security. You want a wife that gives you love and appreciation and respect. But for so many guys, they don't get that. So there's this lack of support in all these different areas, in the business, in the career, and at home. And for a lot of men, their relationships begin to suffer because they're chasing this idea of success. So we're going to be diving into 6 very crucial tips on how to run a 7-figure business, or how to be successful, even if you're not a business owner, this will work for you, while also having balance and without losing your family. The divorce rate here in Australia and New Zealand and all over the world is about 50%. And that's just divorces. That doesn't include people who are not happy in their relationships. So these 6 tips are going to be extremely helpful for you. But before we go into them, I'll preface a story. So my wife and I, we've been running a social contract for the last 7 years. We've been together. And in the last few episodes of this podcast, I've discussed social contracts. A social contract is the unwritten agreement between you and others. So for example, when Rosie and I had a daughter, or before we had a daughter, we sat down, and instead of just freestyling this experience of having a daughter, we sat down, looked at each other and said, cool, what is your role in the relationship? What is my role in the relationship? And we agreed that I was going to work and grow the Empowered Man, grow my businesses, make money and provide. She agreed that she would look after Talia, our daughter, be a stay-at-home mother, and provide that nurturing aspect of the relationship. So she was in more of a feminine role, and I was in more of a masculine role. Now, it quickly became apparent when we had children, when we had a child, that wasn't fucking easy. Like if you've ever had kids before, you know that you think you're ready and you're never fucking ready. Like you have no idea what to expect. Now Talia is almost 2 years old at the time of recording this, and it's been extremely fucking challenging. What you don't take into account is the lack of sleep, the arguments, the disconnection, less sex, less intimacy. Like children, they're going to get in the way of those things. They're going to contribute to those things. So throughout this relationship, I would build resentment towards my wife because I thought her job was easy. And she would build resentment towards me because I'm not present or I'm not around enough. And it still happens to this day with both of us. What we've really had to do is we've had to demand that respect, not demand that respect, gain that respect of each other and get to understand each other on a deeper level. And this is why so many divorces happen. And this is why so many businesses are just prisons that consume people. And this is why so many men just grind themselves to the bone, sacrificing everything in the process. So if any of that is relatable to you, this episode will be extremely valuable. We're going to dive right into it right now. The first tip here to running a 7-figure business or a successful business without losing your family or while also having balance is that everything begins and ends with you. Now, you already know this, but it will tie into everything else we're about to share over the next 5 tips. Everything begins and ends with you. And that's why it's so fucking heavy. Like, if you think about it, as a modern day man, especially a family man, a traditional man, which is evil these days, apparently, we have a lot of weight on our shoulders. So it starts from the minute we wake up. For a lot of guys, they wake up and the first thing they have to do is get themselves ready for a work day, but also support with the kids. Or they get up before the family's even awake and they go straight to work. So everything begins with you. You're the one who's got to get up. You got to get up whether you feel like it or not. You got to go to the grind. And then when you get to the grind and when you get to work, what you're dealing with is problems. Because everything begins and ends with you. People bring you things. If you're a leader, people will bring problems to you. They'll bring fires to you. They'll bring things that they can't figure out to you. And for a lot of guys, they're dealing with this every day at work. And then the wife will call and say something about the kids, or the kids are sick, or this or that. So there's the pressure of work where everything begins and ends with you. And then by the time you've dealt with all that shit, there isn't really much time to work on the business. There isn't really much time to work on the vision because so many of us are in the weeds. We're stuck in the weeds putting out fires. We're stuck in the weeds dealing with bullshit. And we're stuck in the weeds dealing with people who we consider to be unreliable. In my first few years of Empowered Man, when I started hiring and when I started trying to grow, as we got busier, I hired more people. And the intention of hiring people is so that you can take back your time. But what ended up happening was I was spending more time in the business, putting out fires and dealing with their shit. So then when I do come home, Rosie's really pissed off because I'm not present. My brain is just constantly switched on. So everything began with me in the business. Everything ended with me. It all had to go through Tony. And then by the time I got home, I now had to support at home. And because I had to support at home, I didn't have much energy left. And I'm like, fuck, when does this end? This is so difficult. And that's when the story creeps in, right? God, your job's easy. Why? You have no idea what I've gone through every single day. You have no idea how hard it is to go to war every single day and fight in business. Everything begins and ends with you. Because the social contract that you've written with the people in your life, your employees, your partner, friends or family, anyone who takes up your time and takes up your energy, that only happens because we allow it to. So not only does everything begin and end with you in terms of people go through you for everything, the kids, the partner, the team, but also because you've allowed it to be that way. And the beautiful thing is, if everything begins and ends with you, then you can decide that moving forward, you help people become more reliable. But ultimately, this first tip, what it really means is that it's your responsibility. If you are currently in a business, a marriage, a career, a relationship, where things are not working, where you feel a lack of appreciation, respect, desire, you feel like you're not getting the output you want from people, you feel like they're unreliable, it began with you and it ends with you. And at any moment, you can make a decision. It's a click of a finger to go, you know what? I'm going to fucking change this. Because if something in my life is not working the way I want it to be, then I've got to figure out what the fuck I want here. And I've got to do something about it. If you're getting value from this content and you want to upgrade yourself, you want to fix your marriage or relationships, you want to find work-life balance, or you want to be successful and winning in life, then SMS the number on the screen right now saying upgrade. SMS upgrade to 0482 097 778. That's +61 482 097 778. SMS upgrade to +61 482 097 778. And what we'll do is we'll send you all of our best content on health, wealth, and relationships completely for free. So SMS the number on the screen right now to get on our list, and we'll send you all the stuff you need to win. It's so funny, and I've done this for years. And like I said, we got guys who make $100 million a year. They get into that victim mentality. It's like, fuck, I'm paying you money. Why are you not doing your job? Fuck, I'm working hard. Why is the house not clean? It's this blame game and this victim mentality, when in reality, what we're doing is we're projecting our bullshit onto other people, and we're just triggered because we feel like we have no time, and we feel like we have no space, and we feel like we can't control what's going on. We're out of control. We've lost control. We lose control of our thoughts, constantly thinking, can't switch off, negative thoughts. Could be depression, anxiety, fear, uncertainty. We lose control of our feelings, feeling the stress in our body, feeling triggered and angry, feeling frustrated, feeling like you're not getting what you want from people. And then that's when our actions and reactions from our thoughts and feelings come out. We react, we get angry, we yell, we berate someone, we tell them off, we drink, we sedate, we scroll. It's not intentional. All of it begins with you. So when you've got yourself together as a leader, you're healthy, you're fit, you're eating well, you're in a great routine, all the things we teach our clients at The Empowered Man, that's when your team is more reliable. That's when your business makes more money. That's when you have more time in the day. That's when your wife looks at you with appreciation and respect and desire. That's when your children respect you and listen to you. All these things happen from within. And we don't think about this. We blame everyone else. It's like, if things aren't working, if you want to run a successful business, if you want a successful marriage, if you want to have it all, it begins and ends with you. So the first step to implement this tip is just to look at yourself in the mirror and go, cool, how do I treat myself? How do I manage my time? How do I communicate with people? How do I show up as a husband, as a father, as a leader for the people at work? And it's a really hard question to ask. It's challenging yourself, because if you really get to the truth, for a lot of us, it's like, I'm not the best man I could be. Michael, the guy who makes $100 million a year, he said that. He's like, I make all this money, but I'm not happy. It's like, cool, bro. How do you feel as a man? He's like, tired, burnt out, stressed. So how do you think that's going to project onto other people? And the beautiful thing about this is you can change it. It all begins and ends with you. The second tip here to running a successful or seven-figure business while also having your family in balance is helping people become reliable. It's just helping people become reliable. If you think about it, success comes from a multitude of things. And success in business is very similar to success in relationships, because business is relationships. You have a relationship with your customers. You have a relationship with your team. And then when you get home, you take that relationship and how it made you feel throughout the day, and then you project it onto your family. Because for a lot of guys, they don't know how to let things go or switch off. This was me for years as well. So you come home, and then the relationship with your family is things aren't done the way you would like them to be done. For a lot of guys, like if the house is a mess, the kids are clean, people are screaming, you want to come home and relax, not deal with bullshit, right? So for a lot of guys, what they end up doing is, because everything starts and ends with them, but they're not aware of that, and they blame, they start to judge other people for how they're showing up. So let's say you employ someone. Let's say you have an employee and you pay them $100,000 a year. You think that's a lot of money. They call in sick. Instant judgment. I wouldn't do it that way. They don't care about the business. So we do two things. One, we compare what we would do to that person, or we judge them for how they're showing up because we have an expectation of them. Now, a lot of the time, those expectations are not communicated and they're unrealistic. Because in the social contract, we expect people, I'm paying you, you should do your job. We don't communicate it in a calm, patient way. We get angry, triggered, and we typically yell or tell them off. We don't sit them down and go, hey, like, I've noticed that you aren't doing your job properly. You won't say it like that. It's like, cool. So look, I've noticed recently that like your performance is not where I know it could be. I know that your performance could be so much higher. I'm just really interested. What's going on for you? Is everything okay at home? Is everything okay personally? Like, what's going on for you? Instead, we're like, fuck you. We get angry. We get triggered. They don't do it properly. We get to know them. And then once we've found out about what's really going on for them, then what we get to do is ask them, well, how can I support you with this? How can I support you in becoming more reliable? How can I support you in getting this done at a better level? Do you need systems? Do you need checklists? Is there more training I could do with you? How can I support you in becoming more reliable? And then from that place, from that frame, once we've asked that question, we can go into, cool, so if I notice that the performance slips moving forward, how would you like me to communicate that with you? So we've done a few things here. The first one is we've addressed the problem without blaming them. We're actually being empathetic towards them. So we realize someone's not reliable in the business or career. We're leading them. We ask them, hey man, what's going on for you? I've just noticed that this has slipped. Not you're underperforming, not you're not good enough. It's not about them. It's about the performance. It's about the KPIs. I've noticed that you've dropped performance here. What's going on for you? Is everything okay? We genuinely give a fuck because everything starts and ends with you, including how you communicate. So in that social contract, instead of comparison and judgment, which doesn't serve you or get you closer to your goal, you're like, you know what? What's going on for this person? You find out about them, then you ask them, how can I support you in becoming more reliable? How can I support you in making this easier? And then you finish with, how would you like me to address this moving forward? So you get their permission to call them out and you get them to tell you how they'd like you to do that. Can you see how powerful that is? This is supporting someone in becoming reliable. If you want to have a successful business and make shitloads of money and serve the world, which is the point of business, you've got to have reliable people. And if people aren't reliable, it means you haven't onboarded them properly and you don't have a good social contract with them. You don't have a set of rules. One thing we do at The Empowered Man, and we'll talk about how to do this in a marriage in a second. One thing we do with all of our employees here, we've got 10 at the moment. We'll probably have 15 by the end of the quarter and then another 20 by the end of the year, right? We're growing rapidly. Is when a new team member comes on board, we don't just throw them into the deep end. The first day, we sit them down, and let me know if you want a copy of this. Just drop a comment below the video on YouTube if you're listening, or flick me a message on Facebook. Is we set expectations. Say, cool, so this is the vision of the company. This is the mission of the company. These are our values in the company. How did these feel for you? Do they resonate with you? We do it before in the interview as well. And then what do you expect from me as the leader? What do you expect from this company? What do you expect from this business? What are your expectations of us in terms of team, income, growth? So we get them to share with us what they want. Then we ask them what they're committed to. What are your commitments with this movement? What are your commitments with this business? What are you willing to take action on? And then we share our expectations. So we expect you to be on time to meetings. If you're not, you won't get let in. If it happens 3 times, you're out. We set very clear expectations on how to communicate, how to think, how to deal with problems. So we've set the frame from the jump. Now, if you haven't done this before, I recommend you start doing it. It makes people way more reliable. Because when you move the goalposts, people tend to get quite upset, right? If you haven't done it, it's just sitting them down and having these sorts of conversations. What you're doing is you're helping them become more reliable. If we bring this into your home life, because there's no point having a successful business and making money if your home life is suffering or your wife leaves. When you come home, the expectation for a lot of men is the house should be clean. The kids should be looked after. I just need to relax. Leave me alone. It's a very unrealistic expectation. And there's judgment when those things aren't done because of the stories. We create a story about our team. We judge them and we compare. We create a story about our partner or our kids. We judge them and we compare. So if we go back to tip 2, how can I support people, support others in becoming reliable? You sit down with your partner. And this has happened with Rosie last night. She was stressed out. She was negative. And instead of supporting her, I was like, just calm down. Like your energy is hurting all of us. And she got instantly triggered. She was up here. I came to her level. Instant problem, right? So I went upstairs and I tried to defend my point. Didn't work too well. So about 5-10 minutes later, I'm like, cool. Clearly my wife is upset. She's triggered. She's stressed. She wouldn't be behaving this way and being unreliable if she wasn't stressed. So I have 2 options here. I can compare her to what I would do. I can judge her and I can build a story about how that's not cool and I've had a fucking long day and she has no idea about how hard it is to go to war. Or I can help her with the dishes and make sure downstairs is clean. And then I can ask her, is there anything else you need support with? And I can apologize for coming to her level and say, look, I was just trying to support you. I'm sorry if I snapped. I did that. It went down well. We cuddled. We fell asleep, right? It's about asking, how can I support you in becoming more reliable? Now, with your partner, you can't ask it the same way. You can just say, look, like, I've noticed that you're really overwhelmed. Like, have you got any ideas on how we can fix this? It's finding out how you can help people become more reliable. Because let's be honest, if you're a successful guy, the biggest gift you have is you're driven, you're a high performer, you're a perfectionist, you want to win, you fucking go hard in the paint. And guess what? Most people don't operate that way. And if they did, you'd fucking hate it because everyone would be like you. And if they did, success would be easy to achieve. It's not. Success is fucking hard. Running a successful business is fucking hard. Having a healthy body while running a successful business, fucking hard. And having a great relationship with your family while being healthy physically and mentally and running a successful business, fucking hard. And that's great. So if it's so fucking difficult, what you get to do is you get to help people become reliable because it begins and ends with you. Tip number 3 ties into this massively. Your full-time job is to shift world views. Your full-time job is to shift world views. What does this mean? World views are perspectives. Let's say an employee leaves. You can choose any perspective. You can choose, I can't find good staff, this is too hard. You can choose, awesome, this is an opportunity for me to find someone better. You can choose, what am I going to do to find someone within the next 2 weeks? You can choose, everything's fucked, I can't do this, it's too hard. The circumstance is the same. What's different is the perspective. It's the focus. So where your focus goes, your energy flows. It's a very famous saying, and it's true. It's not about what happens. It's about the perspective. Your perspective is your worldview. It's the way you see the world. It's the view of things. Now, when you become an empowered man, you choose, you consciously choose, you decide to focus on things that bring you power. If something negative happens, instead of focusing on a problem, you focus on a solution. This is the biggest thing we teach our clients. It's the biggest thing that makes you more money, takes back your time, and fixes your relationships. Now, when you learn it, you become unfuckwithable. Until you have to deal with other people. Because other people don't know this. Other people aren't in a good routine. They don't have their mind in control. They don't have fucking rituals, and they don't know how to focus on the positives. And when they do know, they fucking forget, just like we do. I'm very good at this. I'm able to focus on the positives, and I'll do that for a week. But if my wife has been upset for a few weeks or a few days, I'll snap. So even I do it. We all fucking do it. It's about how quickly you get back on the wagon. So your full-time job is to shift worldviews. Your team, your partner, your kids even, most people in your life, they're going to trend towards being negative. Not everyone. But I guarantee if you have a team, you've had someone who's a bad egg who's negative. Guarantee you've had negativity in your relationship. Now that negativity isn't because those people are bad people. Like sure, there's people who aren't the right fit for your team. There's people who you got to fire. But most of the time, people are good people. Most of the time, people are just doing the best with what they've got. So if everything begins and ends with you, and you get to support people in becoming reliable, well, how do you help them become reliable? You realize that they've all got a world view. I've got a one-on-one client I work with at the moment. He's building up a $100 million business. I think they're going to do like 20 million this year. He's very successful. And when he came to us, his relationship was falling apart. He slept on the couch for months on end. His wife was on the brink of divorce. 2 beautiful young kids. He fixed it in 2 weeks. Do you know how he fixed it? He shifted his perspective and he started coming home calm, present, in control, simply by shifting this. Over the last few weeks, though, he's realized that his wife gets really overwhelmed. For example, she was overwhelmed because she's helping with the business, she's looking after the kids 3 times a week, and she's also cleaning the house. So he took leadership. He's like, cool, how can I support her in becoming reliable? Why don't I remove the cleaning from her plate? We can afford it. We make good money. I'll just take the cleaning off her plate. So he hires a cleaner. Then what his wife starts doing is she starts cleaning the house before the cleaner gets there. And the reason she starts doing that is because she says, I can't let them come into our house when it's such a bomb site. Now, if you're a man, you probably understand this because we think differently. That doesn't make much logical sense. But to her, it does. In her worldview, she has no time and she's stressed. However, when a solution is presented by her partner, she then starts to do more work, even though she has no time and she's stressed, because in her worldview, her perspective is, I can't let someone see my house messy. Happened with my wife the other day. We support my parents. We invest in them to look after our daughter and to help us with groceries and cooking. We pay them money so that I can help Rosie become more reliable and we can spend more time together. And I'm making money in the business. I pay them through the business. They help us out. So it was a Saturday morning and I was gonna finish up a bit earlier. And I was like, what are you up to this morning? Now, I didn't frame it very well. I should have said, let's hang out this morning. She's like, I'm going to do groceries. So I said, well, why don't you just get the parents to do it? She goes, oh no, I like doing groceries. I'm like, no, you don't. She's like, yes, I do. I want time to myself. I'm like, cool, get parents to do groceries, go and spend time by yourself at the beach. Long story short, I started attacking, she started defending, and I walked off. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got a meeting soon. Not a very good conversation, not a lot of fun. Her worldview, even though she was stressed, she had no time, even though a few days earlier she broke down because she had too much on, she was feeling that pressure of being a mother and doing everything. In her mind, that worldview was, I just want to go do the groceries. Now, what we tend to do as modern day men, especially if we're successful, we are fixers. Like we fix problems. That's what we do. Like we see a problem, we're like, let's fucking fix it. Most humans don't operate that way because of their worldview, because of how they operate, because of how they show up. So what I said to this client of mine whose wife was upset because they got a cleaner was I said, instead of telling her we're going to get a cleaner, how can we help her become reliable and how can we help her shift her worldview? And you can do this with your employees, your partner, your kids. Instead of telling someone what the right answer is, and this is hard to do because you just want to fucking fix it, you get to ask really powerful questions to help them come to their own conclusions. This is extremely frustrating because when people feel attacked, they defend. It doesn't even matter if they know exactly that what you said is exactly what's going to help them. If the solution is presented to them, if they feel like it's forced upon them or they feel attacked, they'll fucking defend even if they know subconsciously that it's good for them. That's most humans. What I love in my organization and with myself is you can tell me that I'm a fucking idiot or that I did something stupid and it will hurt. But I'll say thank you. Most people don't operate that way. It's called a front stab, right? So with most people, it's not that you got to beat around the bush. You got to ask them questions. So let's say with this guy, with his partner, he says, cool. Yeah, I've noticed that you're getting really stressed before the cleaner comes. I was just wondering, I'd love to spend some time with you. And I know you've got a lot on your plate. Is it okay if we take that time you're cleaning in the morning and we go out together to breakfast? I know we don't spend a lot of time together. I'm working way too much. Like, I know that you're stressed about this guy coming and seeing a mess or this cleaner, but would you be okay with coming with me? And she'll either say yes or no, but if she says yes, she's come to the conclusion. Does that make sense? If you've got an employee who's underperforming at work or who's not hitting their targets, instead of saying, this is how you hit your target, you're not hitting your targets, it's not good enough. Instead, you sit them down, you say, cool, how can I support you in becoming more reliable? What do you need my help with? And you ask them, cool, so what's the specific problem we're trying to solve here? Well, we're not hitting our targets. Cool, so now they've come to the conclusion. Great. So I've just noticed with our targets, they're not 100%. What's the specific problem we're trying to hit here? They tell you, cool. And what are some solutions you have? What do you think are some good solutions or ideas on how we can fix this problem? This level of leadership is something I've only recently learned. But what you're doing is you're asking questions and you're doing it in a very curious way. So it's not like this. So what do you think the fucking solution is? It's like this. Yeah, I'm just curious, man. It's a curious frame. I'm just really curious. This is like elite communication. I'm just really curious. Like, obviously you're aware of the problem. What do you think some potential solutions are, you know? And they give you a shitty solution. Instead of saying that shit, you go, that makes sense. It's a good idea. I don't think it fixes the solution entirely. What else do you think might work? And then if you really want to tell someone what to do, you just do it like this. You go, yeah, well, have you considered this? Or are you open to a perspective? Are you open to me sharing an idea? Are you open to me giving you a perspective? When they say yes, you've now got buy-in. You've got that frame. You've got that communication. Well, from what I've observed, this seems to work better. Not you need to do this. And again, it's frustrating because you got to sort of dance around it. But what you realize is everyone has a different personality type. Everyone has a different way of communication. This happened with my team a few weeks ago. We're about to hit, I think, 2.5, 3 million this year. The business is growing rapidly, a lot of expenses, a lot of chaos, a lot of stress. Obviously that comes home to the family, hence I'm doing this video. And then on a Saturday and Sunday, I worked the whole day. I'm like, I need to get my team reliable. Everything begins and ends with me. I'm going to support my team in becoming reliable, and I'm going to shift their worldviews. So I spent the whole weekend creating a daily, weekly, and monthly winning formula. Hey guys, here's some checklists you can do, etc. Show up to a meeting on a Monday. And I'm like, cool guys. So moving forward, I know that I haven't been reliable. I take a lot of ownership. I'm like, I know I haven't been reliable. I know that you guys miss things, and that's okay. Sometimes things get missed and there's excuses. That's on me. I haven't given you a checklist, but here's a checklist. We're going to do this together moving forward. And all one team member heard was excuses. So he's like, fuck you, Tony, in his head. And he heard, you're moving the goalposts. Now I've got to do more stuff. So what I've done since then, because he called me out on it, I'm like, cool guys. So this is the problem. What do you guys think we should do? What you're doing is you're helping people shift their worldviews from problems to solutions. But if you tell them the solution, or if you tell them they're wrong, or if you tell them there's a better way, they start to defend. And I guarantee you've experienced this before. Tip number 4, over communicate, under promise, over deliver. Let's do that again. Over communicate, under promise, over deliver. Let's go through each one. Over communicate. When it comes to your family and your business, you want to over communicate what's going on so that that person in your life, your partner, has complete clarity on what you're going through, what your days are like, what's on your mind, what's stressing you out, and what you're doing about it. What you don't want to do is over communicate problems and negativity. Everything's fucked. I can't do this. The team's unreliable. We're short on cash. We got to lower spending. Like, no, there's a lot on my plate. I've had a long day. Do you mind if I share it with you? It's so funny how as men we struggle to do this. Our partner is meant to be our soulmate. They're meant to be the person who is there by our side through thick and thin. And so many men struggle to communicate with their partner. Now, I've done a ton of podcasts on how to communicate. We've done 50 plus episodes. Check those out. So over communicate what's going on for you, but frame it from solutions, frame it from possibility, frame it from inspiration. How would a leader deal with those things? Be honest and vulnerable about what's going on. In the workspace, over communicate. Tell your team when you're expecting to change things. Frame up that there's something like, guys, just want to let you know, I know people don't like change. We're going to be making changes that are going to benefit you. And I'd really love your input so I can make sure they serve you well. Over communicate when things are working and aren't working. Over communicate with the team. What we do in our business is every month, a team member fills out a form, which gives us a rating in terms of different parts of the business. How would you rate so out of 10, how do you feel about our vision? How do you feel about being heard? How do you feel about being seen? And then every team member has a 30-minute meeting with the team leader where we over communicate. How are things going for you at home? How are you feeling? We get to know people. We over communicate both ways. Under promise. There's nothing worse for a relationship than promising the world and delivering a city. There's nothing worse in a relationship than promising the world and delivering a city. We can all talk a big talk. When you're starting to date someone and you fucking talk the talk and you the sun shines out of your ass, you're the man, and then you start getting together and you drop your standards. It's like that, right? So we want to under-promise. We don't want to not promise. Like, yeah, we're going to make money, we're going to grow the business, but we don't want to dangle a carrot. We don't want to tell our family we're going to work hard, we're going to have freedom and grind for 7 years. You want to over-communicate when you're not going to meet your deadlines. You want to over-communicate when you're not going to make your promises, because it takes integrity to be successful. Under-promise means don't just tell people what you're going to do. Under-promise means do more, say less. So you can over-communicate what's going on and how things are working, but don't over-communicate that you're going to give everyone everything they want. Instead, over-deliver. Over-deliver means go above and beyond for everyone, because everything begins and starts with you. If you go above and beyond for your team, if you go above and beyond for your partner, despite a long and stressful day, if you go above and beyond for your employees, even when you've got a lot on your plate, it starts to show. It really starts to show. And when you do more and over-deliver as a leader in your business, your family life, when you do that, other people get inspired by it. They start to see what's possible. When you're working a 12-hour day and you're still full of energy and you're still positive, and then you come home and you have a great home life and you respect your wife and she respects you back, people notice those things. People start to get inspired, and a rising tide raises all the ships. Like, people have to come on that journey with you. So over-communicate, under-promise, over-deliver, which leads to the fifth point. Respect is earned, not given. This has been a really big one for me, and I've learned a lot of this from Andrew Tate, who my wife hates. She's never watched his videos, and my coach hates. I think she has watched his videos. And it's funny because a lot of people hate what they don't understand. Now, if you don't know who Andrew Tate is, super famous influencer, and he says a lot of controversial shit and a lot of stuff I don't agree with. Like, he says a lot of stuff I don't agree with. But one thing that I learned from him was that respect is earned, not given. And as a man, you're born with no inherent value. Like, unless you're a good looking man, even that doesn't take you very far. If you're a good looking woman, you have an immense amount of value. The best way to describe it is you can have a 18-year-old beautiful girl on a yacht with a billionaire. That billionaire worked his whole life to get to that point. That woman is just beautiful. As men, we don't have an inherent value. That's why we work so hard. Our value is derived from business and finances. It's from the success of providing for our family, building something that we derive value. That's why a lot of older men who have money are seen as successful. You add in a healthy body, a six-pack, and you look good, it's a fucking match made in heaven. You're in the top 0.1% of men. So in your business and in your family life, respect is earned, not given. And I realized about 6 to 12 months ago that I had an amazing wife. Like, she looks after the house. She puts up with my, intensity. She's always been there to support me. But I realized that I didn't feel respected, and it wasn't her fault. In the social contract, everything begins and ends with you. I hadn't earned that respect. How do you earn that respect? By giving that person what they need. You earn respect by showing them. Over-communicate, under-promise, over-deliver, do more, say less. You show them what's possible. You support them. You show them love, appreciation, support, empathy and understanding, respect, laser focus. We've taught this in a previous podcast. You fill their cup. You show them what's possible. You show up as the best version of yourself. And when you do that as a leader, people fucking gravitate towards that. Your team members, your family, they are inspired by you. That rising tide raises all the ships, but you got to have respect, and you cannot demand it. If you demand respect, you will not be given it. It's earned, not given. So if in your business or career or in your family life right now, you don't feel that respect you deserve, then remember, everything begins and ends with you. Support others in becoming reliable. Your full-time job is to shift their worldviews. And the way you do that is by over-communicating, under-promising, and over-delivering. It begins with you. It's about you being the leader. The chain is only as strong as the weakest link, but it's also to the strongest link. And you got to be the strongest link in your family life and in your business or career. And the final one, number 6, Constantly revisit social contracts. This is an important one. Constantly revisit social contracts. What does this mean? Every employee, every leader in your organization, every relationship in your life is based on a social contract. The social contract Rosie and I had 7 years ago is vastly different to the social contract we have now. And every week, we haven't done it in a while actually, which is on me, putting my hand up there, but every week we used to have a love meeting. We're going to start again this week. That's my promise to you, is where we sit down and we talk. How are you feeling in the relationship? What's going on for you? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel understood, right? We're constantly revisiting the contract about how we feel, how we're showing up for each other. Every relationship needs that. But it's also with your employees. Like, how often do we sit down with our team and go, cool, like, how are you feeling? What's going on for you? How often do we empower them? How often do we find out about them? How often do we lead and guide them? We don't, because we have expectations, stories, and comparison to where we think they should be or what we would do. So anyone in your life that you don't feel like you have a great relationship with and it's impacting your results, business, family, friends, revisit those social contracts. What are the rules in that relationship? What are the expectations? What is unsaid? What is unmet? What is going on between the two of you? For a lot of men, they just sweep things under the rug. They expect things to get better. Things get better when you do something about it, because everything begins and ends with you. Social contracts are the fabric of society. In the last 4 episodes, I think I talked about them. So if you want to run a 7-figure business without losing your family, while also having balance, there are 6 key tips. There's a lot more. We teach a lot more in our programs, but there are 6 key tips you must follow. 1, everything begins and ends with you. Everything. 2, you get to support others in becoming reliable. How? 3, your full-time job is to shift worldviews, to help people reach the promised land, to shift their perspective and empower them without telling them, by guiding them, by leading them. 4, over-communicate, under-promise, over-deliver. Do more, say less. Just show up, get shit done, inspire people, lead people. Remember, respect is earned, not given. Number 5, respect is earned, not given. And when you earn that respect, you feel like the fucking man, because you are. And number 6, constantly revisit social contracts. Constantly revisit the relationships with your team, your partner, your kids. Constantly look at what's working and what's not working and communicate that. If you follow these 6 tips, the relationships in your life are going to skyrocket. Your results in business, your finances, your outcomes, your everything levels up. And it levels up in tandem with your personal life. Because ultimately, that's the point, right? There's no point in being successful if you lose your family, your health, and happiness in the process. There are 3 key areas: health, wealth, relationships. You need all 3. And that's exactly what we teach in the Empowered Man program, is how to have it all. How to have a thriving business or career, make shitloads of money, while also having an amazing relationship with your partner, your kids, and yourself. A healthy body, a bulletproof mind, a man who is in control, a man who has power and purpose. So if that's something you're interested in, keep watching the podcast, or if you'd like to learn more about our programs, there'll be a link down below. It's the first link where you can book a coaching session with our team. It's no obligation, and on that session, we'll have a chat about your goals, where you are, what's working, what's not working. We'll create a game plan for you, figure out what the fuck's holding you back. Then from there, if you want to know more about our coaching, we can talk about it. If not, that's cool as well. But we're currently working with 180 very successful men who are crushing it in health, wealth, and relationships. So if you want to know more about that, go down below. If not, make sure you give this 5 stars wherever you're listening, or a thumbs up on YouTube. I love making this content for you. So if you have any suggestions, drop a comment down below, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Empowered Man podcast. If you're getting value from this content and you want to upgrade yourself, you want to fix your marriage or relationships, you want to find work-life balance, or you want to be successful and winning in life, then SMS the number on the screen right now saying upgrade. SMS upgrade to 0482 097 778. That's +61 482 097 778. SMS upgrade to +61 482 097 778. And what we'll do is we'll send you all of our best content on health, wealth, and relationships completely for free. So SMS the number on the screen right now to get on our list, and we'll send you all the stuff you need to win.